Hey, well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another Greyscalegorilla live show. My name is Nick Campbell, and with me today is the fabulous Chad Ashley. How are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good.
I
Glad to be
wore this.
here.
I wore this shirt for you. We're gonna be talking about some materials today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Good to see you in chat here. Hey, let's get the chat up. Let's put this puppy up here. Let us know where you're from. We always love seeing where everybody's dialing in from. And thank you so much for joining us today. This will be an exciting live show. We're going to be talking about some of the amazing new collections that came out last week for Greyscalegorilla Plus members, a little bit of behind the scenes on some of the scene files. And we're also going to be talking to Jake, who was helping. He's actually super amazing, helping bring all this material collection together. And so we'll be bringing Jake in here a little bit later too, talking a little bit more about behind the scenes. And then we're going to open up Cinema 4D. We're going to answer any questions you guys have. We're also going to be showing you some scene files and some behind the scenes on some of these materials, some of these collections. This has been amazing feedback that we've gotten from everybody. We've seen renders from our customers that are using these materials right away in their projects. And then people are just now picking their favorite HDRI from the latest collection. I know I have my favorite. I'm going to tell Chad Ashley my favorite a little bit later, and I want you guys to tell me yours as well. Real quick, we got LA, Tampa, we got Denmark, Qatar, Canada, Spain, France, Bristol, UK. Look at this. Oh, I can't scroll there. I can scroll over here. Russia, Amsterdam, Edinburgh, Scotland, Dallas. That's how you say that. Poland, LA, London, Germany. Holy crap. Thank you guys so much for coming. We appreciate you. Chad, how has your week been?
Well, we can finally breathe now that we got the biggest release ever of assets into Plus out. And we're already starting to work on the next set. So we're always busy over here making cool stuff for all of our amazing members. But yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a calm right now, just a post-launch sort of calm. But yeah, we're already digging into new stuff and it's looking good. Nothing that I can talk about right now.
You got your blur ready if we share your screen? What
well,
do you got in there?
I uninstalled a lot of stuff, but if something slipped by me, then, if you have, good eyesight and you find something, just keep it to yourself,
That it's an accidental sneak peek. That's
exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Stay tuned and let's see if Chad deleted everything off of his machine proper that he and the team have been working on. I have seen a little sneak peek on some of the new stuff and it's looking amazing. But today we're talking about all the fun new stuff that is out. We just announced it last week. If you are a Plus member, be sure to go head on to our blog, click the link right at the top of every blog post has a little button for you to learn all about the new stuff. And if we have anyone from Greyscalegorilla in the chat, or if you guys want to help, throw the link in and we're going to make sure that's out there too. So if we say something, hopefully we'll get a link in the chat for you guys to click on. Nick Hopkins is here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. We saw Nick at the Beeple Open. Do you think Beeple got me sick? Is that what happened? I left South Carolina and drove home and instantly got whatever's happening right now. So first of all, I apologize for this and a little bit of the coughing I'm going to do today. Second of all, we could just all blame Beeple. Pretty sure that guy got me sick. I'm not quite sure.
I mean, it was either him or maybe it was the Andy Warhols walking around or, one of those people. Who knows, dude?
It was that I hugged the fake Elon Musk and he got me sick. That's what happened. Let's see here. We got questions. So if you have a question, first of all, thank you for joining us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on Twitch and also Facebook. We see you out there. And do us a favor, especially if you're on YouTube, please hit the like button or the thumbs up button actually on YouTube. It helps let YouTube know that we're live, and anybody that is watching Defunct Land or watching some Post 10, they're going to get an alert in the corner of their YouTube to say, stop watching that. Come watch Greyscalegorilla live. They're on. So do us a favor, hit the thumbs up. That's a big help for me. Probably David and Chelsea got me. That might be it too. Like I did give them a hug too. So let's blame David for now. Sorry, people. I'm sorry I threw you under the bus. I'm gonna go with Octane Jesus for a moment. I'm just gonna say, David, thanks for getting me sick. It's good to see everybody. It was actually really cool to see everyone out there. It was good to see you as well, Chad. It's always good to catch up with you in person.
Yes, it was good to get the hell out of Chicago, and the weather was so much better there.
Yeah,
So
why
I'm
are
jealous.
we in the Midwest?
Yeah,
this is the worst time to be in the Midwest, but it's all turning around today. I can feel it.
I think we definitely, like, this time of year, I'm always like, should we move someplace warmer? And then summer will happen, and then you'll forget all about the bad weather, and you'll be like, oh, this is great. I love it here. And you go through the whole thing again every winter. But
it's the best part about the Midwest. All right, let's see here. We got, all right, looks like everything's working. We got a thumbs up that we're working on Twitch. They said it might be a little laggy over there on Twitch. Sorry about that. If anything's laggy, please hop around. We are live on YouTube as well. Always a big help if you join us there, just to help get the numbers up. That's where everyone's hanging out these days. Jake just put the link in there. So we're going to be calling up Jake here a little bit later in the live stream to talk about some of the materials. And he worked on a lot of the amazing collections that came out last week. But why don't we dive in a little bit and talk about some of the collections? And we're also, just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to do Q&A. We're going to do some behind the scene files in Cinema 4D, either on Chad's machine or my machine. I'm ready. I got my scene files ready to go. Orchun, who works here at Greyscalegorilla, was a huge help today in getting me working in Redshift. I had some issues with Redshift that he fixed, and so shout out to Orchun. What else are we doing today? We're going to do a little bit of news, and as always, we're celebrating the new release, and of course answering any questions you guys have. So let's do it. Let's start with you know what, I'll share my screen and just scroll through this blog post. Maybe Chad, you could talk about some of the collections that just came out. Does that sound all right?
Yeah. So, I'll just go through it. I mean, it was a huge release. 300 assets dropped into Plus. If you're a Plus member, you have access to them right now. And it includes stuff like new tactile collections. If you're not familiar with tactile, after the stream, go check out our page on our site. It talks about tactile. Maybe somebody can drop it in the chat. But we have 5 different like tactile collections, right? We have polystyrene, which is styrofoam. We have a bunch of great fabrics. We have some amazing felt materials. We have architectural carpets, and we have colored fiberglass. And then in terms of the non-tactile collections, we've got paracord, which is like 70 amazing, colorful paracord materials. Colorful plastics, which pairs really well with the new doodad models that we released not too long ago. And then some new surface imperfections like frost textures to make stuff look really cold and cool. And then a new HDRI collection, which is, you know, kind of like supposed to dethrone Creative Office as the best HDRI ever.
Oh, so it is. It is. I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it. I said, I already got my favorite.
All right. Well, let's see if there's any other members in the chat who have, you know, poked around and see what they like too. I'm curious where that lands. So, I mean, like, that is a lot of stuff, just a lot of stuff.
I'm going to bounce around. If you haven't seen this video will spell out all the detail. The styrofoam is bonkers. I've been playing around with the styrofoam a lot more today. I just want to show you guys this render. Look at this thing. What the heck? It's like little cubes, like little rock. How did you make the tops of these things with this? Like, little fracture and you just ripped it off, or how did you find
Actually,
these little guys?
I took a cube and I subdivided it like crazy, and then I just put a noise displacer with a field that only displaced the top. So it gets
Oh,
that like wavy, kind of rough, broken off bits. And then one of the materials that we shipped is like kind of a broken edge styrofoam. So it's got like the
got it.
little, balls and stuff all over it. And so like that, I just applied that material to the end cap, and there you go.
It's pretty crazy. Anybody doing packaging, check this out. And it's not just for packaging, obviously. I've been using it for MoGraph kind of looks, and the subsurface kind of look to it is just so good. If you haven't tried this yet, and keep notes too. If there's any of these you want us to specifically try once we open Cinema 4D, let us know. Let's talk about these fabrics. These are gorgeous, man. And this render. We may have to open up this scene file if it'll open.
If it'll open, dude. Yeah, that scene file almost destroyed my computer. Cause like, all right, I had the idea of kind of building off of that shmoo look. And so I was like, okay, so I have this idea for this octopus like shmoo thing. And I had Nick V help me out with the model, and he broke every little chunk out into a different poly selection. So trying to apply about a little over 25 materials to that super high poly sim, like a patch quilt style, man, that was tough. I ended up doing it in Redshift. I exported the whole thing as a Redshift proxy so that it wouldn't completely bring my computer to its knees. But yeah, that was definitely a challenge. But yeah, the materials are so we have an amazing I work with an amazing designer, and she and I kind of like discuss what we want to do for a certain collection. So when we talked about doing fabrics, it was important that we do some really interesting kind of like patterns and stuff, but also make sure that everything sort of fits together. Almost kind of like, the colors go together, the textures go together. So Logan, she, once I kind of told her what we wanted, she went off and like sourced all these amazing fabrics from all over the world that all work together, and then they get shipped back to us. And then Jake does his magic, and then once that's done, I was able to put it on the octopus and do some cool renders of it.
Oh, this is great. I love this render. I'll fast forward to everyone's favorite. These these silly owls, man. First of all, what a great way to show off the cloth. All right, I'll try not to click on my face anymore. Second of all, like the little jiggle on this guy's nose right here is my favorite thing. Watch. He's just a little jiggle.
That bothers me though.
Really?
I didn't want that.
Oh no, I think it makes him look like he should be having fun, but he's not. That's kind of that's
yeah.
my favorite part.
So that was the last thing. Like I was running out of time on getting all of these like promotional renders done. And I knew for felt that I wanted to do. There was actually a different owl that I was going to try to use, which was a felt owl that a friend of our family made. It was like a Christmas ornament type thing. And I was going to have Nick V model it, but I couldn't. Like we had already put our Christmas decorations away. So to dig it out would have been terrible. So I just so happened to be like looking, I forget where I found this. It might have been Turbo Squid. And I'm like, maybe they'll have like a different owl I could use. And I saw this owl, and his face was so hilarious. He looked so like, he's just so over it. He's like over everything. And so I was like, all right, I got to do something with this. So I just threw it into a sim, which was actually really hard to get that thing to sim the way that I wanted. Cause they're kind of stiff, and they don't really move around a lot, which is why I was kind of mad that his nose wiggled, but I was like, I got to get this done. So I dealt with
so you're trying to get rid of all the like bubbly, clothy, like bubbliness of cloth.
Yes.
Right? That the challenge. What did you find was the settings that really did the most there? Maybe that's easier to ask when you have a scene file open, but did you find like, was there damping or
oh my God, yes. I had to dampen the hell out of it. I was dampening it like crazy. I think I even like changed the time scale to be much slower,
Mm.
so that it, if it did sort of wiggle, it wouldn't feel rubbery. But it
Right.
was a challenge, man. Like I love all the new dynamics and the cloth stuff, but it's really not super intuitive to get what you need, and you end up like basically blindly fiddling knobs until you see something that works, and you can't quite even articulate what you did once you're done. So it's like, honestly,
Yeah.
like it's, but I mean, I do think that it's fast as hell. Like that actually didn't take long to sim, not as long as the octopus. That thing took forever.
Yeah, I feel
But
like
these
it's
guys were
it's
pretty easy.
more the trial and error takes longer than the sim, which is okay, right? Like you got to dial it in and test it and hit, cache if you want to see it real time. But the it's the tweaking all the stuff that's always the most time consuming to me.
Right. Yeah.
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 Well, it looks
Yeah.
great. Let's we don't have to go through all of it. We got these carpets, which by the way, I just love your like little gobo window leak carpet scene. I know it's just a plane or whatever, but I thought that was really subtle and beautiful. It looks great. These carpets are awesome too. If you're a Plus member, I should have said this up front. If you're a Plus member, you have all access to all of this. Go to your Grayscalegorilla menu. Go to the hub. You can download this for Arnold, Octane, and Redshift today if you're a member, and start playing with this stuff. So the carpets we might get into a little bit later. These are some of my favorites, especially with some of the displacement you add to this. A lot of the I think maybe all the tactile ones have displacement built in. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. They do.
So we should do that too. Just as a reminder, we do have full YouTube videos if you ever want to know how to set up displacement in Octane or Redshift. And I think we did an Arnold one as well. So check out those three if you want to learn how to set up displacement to get these kind of effects. And of course, it works with all the tactile materials, including the styrofoam and other stuff we're talking about today, like the plastics as well. These fiberglasses, first of all, I immediately think of, you know, mid-century chairs just like this as soon as I see this kind of fiberglass. What else have you been using the fiberglass on as far as models and techniques and stuff? Because I love the looks of these, but do you have a like a work other than the obvious like wherever fiberglass is used? Have you used these in any other renders lately?
Yeah, I use them a ton in like abstract stuff, like
Mm.
doodads or simulations of strange objects. Something that you want a really interesting colored plastic that maybe isn't just kind of like plain. It has some texture to it. It has some interest to it because you can see the fiberglass like fibers that are in that
Mm.
chair.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a really unique vibe. In that close up, you can see it pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are perfect for abstract stuff, for just about any sort of like pretty designy kind of stuff. But obviously, I'm partial to that those color palettes. That was like this collection actually it's a bit of a smaller collection. It's something that I've wanted for a really, really long time. And thankfully we were able to make it happen. And it's sort of like scratches that like mid-century modern itch that I have, that I kind of wish I worked at Herman Miller or something. Don't tell my boss.
Sorry to disappoint you, Chad. It's
but, but no, it's just like, I don't know, those colors, dude. I love those colors. Like
yeah,
I
me
could
too.
like stare at
You
those
nailed
colors
the
all day.
colors.
Well, I didn't. That
Wait.
was all Logan. Logan found all those colors.
Oh, these are the real ones. See, that's the thing that's really interesting about some of these process, and this is true with this is part of the clay story. I know we launched clay last year, but I know you have this story too, and I guess I'm retelling it. We thought Play-Doh, let's just scan a Play-Doh and use a color picker and you can pick whatever color you want. Nope. If you actually scan the color, you get so many more subtle little details and differences than just color picking something like that. And I would think fiberglass is even way more than that, where all these little subtle color differences and details you couldn't just hue shift around and get. You actually get, these differences built into the capture process. So you had the real deal of all of these.
Yep. This was we kind of like it was a philosophical decision, really, that we could and some materials we do publish controls for color. Like we'll talk about colored plastics in a second that is like completely editable like that. But then when it's something that's sort of deeply tied to the concept of the collection or the category, then we try to make it as close to the real thing as possible, especially when we're doing like a tactile collection and it's running through our entire process. We want to be as true to that original as we possibly can. And of course you could, grab the off-white fiberglass and like desaturate it and do some techniques to add your own color. That's totally fine. Like I would do that too if I wanted a very specific color. But I just think
I should mention,
yeah.
You finish your thought. I'll add something.
No, I was just going to say, like, the idea is like, of course, that's always going to be an option, but like, let's give you the most true to life representation of that material that we can. So that's why we did that.
Yeah. There's, we should just talk about plastics because I think it's next in the video too. And I've been using the heck out of these things. Now, these are called colorful plastics, I think is the official name of the collection in the hub. And what I love about these is all the colors just work together by default. So you can mix and match different materials and you put together a color palette that works really well together as a beautiful abstract color palette. But you can also go in and change each one of these colors with a color picker. These are set up exactly if you need brand colors, if you want to make it your favorite color, you're not stuck with any of these and you don't have to set up, excuse me, you don't have to set up any multiplies or any nodes to do it. You literally open up any one of these in any 3 of the renders that we support. You have a color picker and it is whatever color you want, which I love. I've been playing around with these like crazy.
Yeah, these are super fun.
Well, I mean, what was the inspiration on these things? Like I've seen some of these materials like around, but how did you come up with this kind of idea? It's pretty amazing.
So I think it was like when we released the doodad models, which is what these models are that you're showing here. I was starting to create renders for them when we brought those out last year. And I was like, man, I really wish we just had like a simple set of really beautiful colored textured plastics. And so I just like made a mental note to come back to it after we released doodads and try to put together something that would work, that you could just literally throw a bunch of doodads in a scene, grab, 5 different colors from this pack and immediately get something that was pretty good to look at. So I eventually kind of landed on like, okay, well, what if we broke that collection up into palettes? So each material is like named like P1, then the name of the material, P2, P3. So that P stands for palette. So there's going to be 5 colors per palette. So P1, all the P1s fit together, all the P2s fit together, all the P3s fit together, and so on. So of course, like you said.
I see. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for calling that out. There you go. See, this is why we're doing this show, folks, behind the scenes. I didn't know that. So palette 2, at least there's probably a few missing from the screenshot, but palette 2 is the top row right here.
Yep.
Palette 3 here. And look, it's actually, you said 5. So all 5 of these are together. These 5 are together. These 5 are together.
Yep,
oh, awesome.
You've got it perfectly captured right there.
Thank you, screen capture.
Yeah. So and each one has a different manipulation, a different embossment, a different speckle. And of course, I'm so crazy about that sort of thing that like even the speckles, even like if you stopped on like that yellow speckled one at the beginning of that clip, you can actually open that material and you can change the color of the speckles, you can change the color of the base, you can change the color of all of that. So
Oh, like these
it's
things here?
yep. So a puzzle mat was created to basically isolate all those different pieces. So you can go in there and manipulate those colors to whatever brand color you want. But our palettes are there as basically a suggestion, but every single one is unique when it comes to either the pattern, the speckle, or the bumpiness. So you've got quite a few different sorts of plastics, and they're all set up with subsurface and stuff too.
A lot of variations. The subsurface is beautiful, and we should definitely open a few of these once we get into Cinema 4D, which we are getting to today. We're going to open a few scenes of this and really zoom in and show you, because what I love about these is you could get really close to them and they hold up really well. A lot of the little micro details and the subsurface really shows like the closer you get to it, which I love.
Yeah.
Also, I don't see the chat on my screen, unfortunately, right now, but if you have questions, we're going to hop out of here, out of this full screen mode here in a moment. And please get your questions ready, because I'm sure you guys have questions about this and I want to make sure we answer them. So just a note for that. So we talked a little bit about paracord. This, of course, I'll just say looks amazing on ropes, which, as you know, is super fun and easy in Cinema 4D these days. But it also looks really good on just like anything. I'll give you a little sneak preview. There you go. There's my PC where I'm breaking the rules already. But even just as a stitched together object, I've just been really enjoying the quality of these paracords. So where I may know this story, I may have been there when you were inspired to start this material collection, but where did the idea for the paracords come from?
I think that I can't claim to, have that original idea. I think that this style of paracord, I've been seeing it sort of like bubble up through motion design and show up in different sort of pieces all around. And also, I think that the paracord is kind of having a moment. There's a lot of like clothing brands and even phone case brands that are making these like really beautiful paracord lanyards for your phones and all this sort of thing. So the idea was always kind of kicking around in my head to do something like this. But then I think it was when you were in town for Half Res, we went to that shop in Chicago. And do you remember that shop had like all these amazing paracord lanyards?
That was my thought, was that's where it came from, but it sounds like it was bumping around your head before we got to that shop. But that place had the color palettes in that place were bonkers. I know we were all going nuts. Jake was there. Jake might remember.
Oh, that's right. Jake was there. And so
Jake told us about it. He drug us all the way. He's like, Jake's like, you guys got to come see this store. And we're like, all right.
Well, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And then we fell in love as soon as we
nailed
it.
Dude, we walked in there and we were just like, oh my God. So I just started snapping photos for inspiration, like all over the place. And then I was super inspired when we got back to start building that collection. And so I think I maybe built the original number for that collection was going to be like 15 or 20 or something like that. But then of course, like I built a rig in Substance Designer. And then once I built a rig that could do basically anything that I wanted, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep going. And I just started making more patterns and more patterns and more patterns.
There's more than I thought when I started using
70,
them. I'm like,
there's 70? 70. So if there's one that you don't see, then I guess I should just quit, because I made 70 of these things. So like hopefully there's a color combo that you like. Now these are not color editable because of the way that they have to work with the the anisotropy and like all that sort of thing, and just like it didn't make a whole lot of sense to try to like have people customize those. But that's why another reason why I did 70. I was like, well, if we can't like make every color customizable, let's at least give everybody a crap load of colors and see so that they're taken care of that way.
Oh, hey, I should have gone more full screen. Sorry, folks. There we go. That might be. Well, let's wrap up with a few more. Frost. We may have to show a scene file with Frost later too. Let us know if you want to see that. I know Frost is something that's been on your idea, man, at least before, during or before the DK days when we were working together. I know I've seen some beer renders of yours that where you had to do this in person, like in camera or in 3D. I don't even remember what it was, but this look is everywhere, and it's been up until now like so difficult to make it easily and to make it this beautifully. And so maybe talk a little bit about the Frost stuff, because I know a lot of people have questions about it. And we also, by the way, we are hearing you. We're going to have a tutorial on how to set this stuff up and dial it in really soon. So stay tuned for that. It's a good time to be a Greyscalegorilla YouTube subscriber, because if you want to learn how to do this stuff, let us know in the comments, but also let us know what renderer you're using too, to make sure we come out with a tutorial. But where did all this Frost stuff kind of start?
Well, it's sort of been something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, but just never kind of got around to it. And a lot of it was a lot of trial and error. Jake and I probably shaved like 3 years off of our life inhaling chemicals that do that effect. And so yeah, we basically just like tried a bunch of different combinations of some different sprays and chemicals on top of surfaces, and then hitting them with various levels of heat or air to see what kind of effect we could get. And then we, at one point, I mean, we should throw Jake up on for this part, but I think, I can't remember. I think we actually were testing it, and we literally covered an entire file cabinet with it just to see what would happen. And it completely frosted over. It looked so cool. And I think it's like still sitting in the corner of the studio somewhere. We haven't cleaned it off yet.
Oh, but, yeah, you need a photo of that one.
Yeah, I'll take a photo, send it over. But yeah, so once we kind of like figured out our process, we were then able to capture it using our system and turn it into a tileable texture that you can then use as a roughness map, or use to reveal like a white material to make it look frosty, or you can do all kinds of stuff with it. And I think that's the thing that is great about these, is that they're TIFF files with a lot of dynamic range in them, so you can actually kind of clamp them. If you wanted to like have like a growth effect, you could try to do something cool with that. Maybe that'd be a good tutorial.
Yeah, that's cool. I got to see if I could do a growth effect, maybe using the black and white map. But I would also maybe think like vertex maps or something too might be cool, where you touch the corner and then it grows with a vertex map and reveals it. That might screw up kind of the crystal version. I almost feel like you need a mix of vertex and black to white, because I think like just a clean edge would not look good here.
Yeah, you kind of want to clamp that frosty bit so that you can kind of get those broken edges, so it's not just like a gradient edge or something.
Exactly. So it's probably we'll work that out. Chad showed me a beautiful formula to use this with Redshift, and I'm also playing with it in Octane as well. So I see your comments in there. I see your comments. You guys want the tutorial for this, and it is definitely in the works. We're gonna get something out for you guys. And I've been playing with it, not just for beer can stuff, but abstract stuff, even just as an overlay in general materials. It looks really cool, just as like a reflection map for abstract stuff. Like it's just a unique texture. And some of these have like little snowflakey crystal things, like super detailed in them. So definitely click around in the different maps. Well, let's finish up with the HDRIs here. We tell the story in this video, but as you know, Creative Office right here has become a cult classic, a modern cult classic of Greyscalegorilla HDRI collections, and for good reason. It's really a beautiful HDRI. If you haven't checked it out, if you're in a scene right now, you're working right now, you got us on in the background, and you're like, man, my lighting just isn't punching, go click on Creative Office, go dial up HDRI link, and you'll see what we're talking about. It's just a beautiful feeling of light. It's got mixed light in it. It's got little point lights in the ceiling and a huge window. There's something magic about it. And Chad and the team decided to take it upon themselves to see if we could beat it. Can we make even better maps for you guys that are similar in quality, have that very big open window vibe, but give you a lot more variation? And I think you guys nailed it with this new collection. So this one's called this was called Creative Spaces. I almost messed it up. So talk about this. I know our buddy Nick V worked on these.
Nick V.
What do you know about the behind the scenes here?
So Nick V is an asset artist on the team, and he's ridiculously good at HDRIs. It's just one of the things that he's really good at. And so when I saw so many people coming up to us, asking us, like telling us basically that Creative Office from I forget which pack that was in originally, but
Commercial Spaces, I think.
Yeah. So that everybody's like, oh man, I use that on everything. I literally use it on every single thing. And I was like, okay, well, what if I gave Nick V this challenge of like, go shoot similar spaces and see if you can get people to switch. So that was the challenge. It's like, try to make something better than Creative Office. So he went out and shot 25 amazing interiors with really beautiful, large, soft windows and just really interesting kind of places that just make really beautiful lighting. And I think he nailed it. Like, I have my favorite from the new set. I'm curious what yours is, Nick. We'll see. We'll see what people say.
I don't want to influence it yet. You know, I want to see what everyone else thinks first.
All right. Well, if there's members out there, like, drop it in the chat. Which one of these new ones is your favorite? And if you haven't looked at them yet, then definitely make a point to go check those out.
Yeah. As we actually, let's pull us back up on the screen, and maybe let's pull Jake in too. You mentioned Jake, and I want to pick his brain a little bit about some of the behind the scenes as well. Let me pop us back up here. Let's see here. If I turn that off, there we are. Hey, real quick, Jake, if you can hear my voice, or Chad, if you see him, have him click that link. Let's have Jake come in. In the meantime, I just saw a comment I wanted to answer real quick, which was something about car paints. If you had realistic car materials for the future collection, it would be great. We have an amazing car paint collection. Definitely go check it out. I'll try to bring it up, or maybe we could get a link in the chat there. That came out maybe a couple years ago now, but those are so high quality, really, really detailed. You could zoom way in on them and get all the little metal flakes, and they also look great from afar. So definitely go check out our car collection. And all of that comes with any Greyscalegorilla Plus membership. You can download it, start using it right away in Arnold, Octane, and Redshift. Jake, let's pull Jake in, shall we?
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll say that one of the collections that is kind of sort of like not talked about a lot in our library is tech products. So if you're talking about like automotive rendering materials besides car paints, I mean, we have a giant selection of car paints, but in the tech products collection, there are lots of really great materials in there that can work for car interiors. There's like embossed, textured, like faux leather. There's like even camera grips that can work as steering wheel materials. There's different plastics. So I highly recommend checking out that collection. There's a lot of like stuff that works for car renders in there.
Yeah, tech products has some like hidden gems in there for sure. We should like open up some of those files. I feel like that's something missing. We just got to like open up a pretty scene and just drag and drop some materials just to show some of the variations, especially in that one. All right, let's pull in Jake. Please, everyone,
what's up, guys?
Jake to the live show. What's up, Jake? How are you, man?
What's up? Here, let me try and frame myself a little better. I think I'm like,
yeah. All right, there you go. Looking good.
There we go. It's a little high.
Oh, much better.
Perfect.
We have like a sliver that you have to like fit into.
I know. I'm not used to that. I frame myself to the center, but I got to go to the side now. How's everyone doing?
Oh, I'm
Doing
feeling good. Feeling good, Jake. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I've been lurking in the comments. I love that everyone's excited about this release. This is a big one. I have to check some notes just to remember how much we released this time
That's
around.
what I was doing too.
Yeah,
I know.
it's like I already forgot. I'm like, there's so much.
It's like over 300 assets that shipped last week, if you remember. So that's a reminder for all of you. If you're a member and you haven't logged in and went to the hub in the last week, all of this stuff we're talking about is live right now in your hub. Go download it for your renderer and get started. Jake, I wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about the latest collection and I know you're such an impactful part of this, a lot of these new collections and bringing them through the capture process. I wanted to pick your brain about maybe one of your favorite that you worked on and talk a little bit more about some of the behind the scenes of it.
Yeah, sure. I can give you guys some info. I think one of my favorites from this entire release has to be the styrofoam. It's such a small collection, but there's a lot of just cool parts in it. I love the displacement quality, the micro detail and the normal. But one thing we included in it that I'm just like, it took me a while to nail down was the subsurface. So I don't know if you guys have noticed recently, we've been shipping subsurface maps, subsurface weight and scale maps or radius maps, just because the 3 renderers we do support finally kind of all have their own standard surface that implements random walk. So we're actually able to take advantage of that. And I think that's what really pushes the styrofoam to the limit. I mean, I built it to scale by taking actual pieces of styrofoam and just a flashlight and a light table and measuring the penetration depth, the absorption depth, and trying to get that as close as possible in C4D. So you guys are going to be able to throw these on and it's going to accurately absorb light based on your scale, which I think it like blew my mind once I nailed it because it looks insane.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't we have like we had the light table on and you had the calipers and we were like literally like measuring the depth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was measuring the depth and then trying to recreate that light intensity in C4D and taking measurements in C4D too, just to match it up digital versus real world. So, I mean, these styrofoams will react pretty much 1-to-1 if you're working within real world scale, which is awesome. I really did.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. It's more and more important, especially as we want our cameras to react and materials to react and dynamics to react like they are in real life, to work in real world scale. I was going to ask exactly that. If you work in styrofoam scale, right? If your packaging for your styrofoam is this big, let's say, well, you got to center it, and you make that, 8 inches across, whatever. The subsurface scattering is all set to go. Is that what you're saying?
It is like all set to go,
built in, ready to go.
Drag and drop, ready to go. We dialed that in. We did all of that heavy lifting, and we set all of our scale values for Redshift, Octane, and Arnold. So those are all set.
That is an awesome reminder. I'm constantly reminded of the importance of real world scale, and especially with these new materials with subsurface scattering, make sure you're working at real scale or as close to it as possible. So if you're like, I'm not seeing all the subsurface scattering these guys are talking about, make sure your cube is not default
the size of a building,
the size of a room, because that's just not how subsurface works on that scale. Especially for these types of materials. So the closer your objects are to the real world, the closer these materials will interact with light and cameras to give you as close as possible to the real world. Great reminder for that.
Yeah, you don't have to be super specific. I think like the biggest trick that I always use is just bringing in the figure from the primitives menu. I think it's like a 6 foot tall person. And just like scaling whatever object you're working on proportional to that figure does the trick for me. So you never you don't have to be super scientific, but the styrofoams in particular, if you match the scale to what you intend it to be, they're going to work for you.
Yeah, the human that's a great reminder. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make it in the same scale. If it's a suitcase, pull the human out, make sure it looks like a suitcase next to the person, and you'll be better off. Jake, you got time for a few more questions? I'm sure people might have some questions for you about the process and about some of the other
Yeah,
stuff.
sure. If anyone has questions about tactile specifically, that's kind of my daily workload, is all of the tactile stuff. That's kind of been the project that I've taken on over the past year and a half, I'd say. But yeah, any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer. Or I can go more about talking about these awesome materials we just released.
No,
yeah.
the styrofoam works so well with the volume mesher too. So that's the piece that showed up in the marketing stuff. Basically, it's just a volume mesher, you know, with some objects subtracting and all that sort of thing. And I built that to scale, obviously, to kind of match like the packing material you would find in like a, you know, buying a TV or something. And just literally dragged the styrofoam on there, didn't really do much else, and it just looked real because we take that time to do. Jake's taking that time to like figure out the correct absorption of light, how far, what's that subsurface radius, what's a good base value for that. And then, you know, we don't just we look at everything that we make, and we sort of like imagine ourselves using it as a customer, and we try to make stuff that we would want to use or that we would find valuable. So that detail that we put into stuff is really important for our process.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Deirdre putting up links. Thank you, Deirdre. I just saw the polystyrene link there if you want to learn more about that. We have a few questions here. Let's see. Let me find it real quick. Oh, they're asking, does that scale issue apply to felt also? Is there subsurface in felt, and how does that work with scale?
Yes, so there is subsurface in felt, but it's slightly different. So the subsurface we set up in felt is similar to the subsurface we did in our original paper collection that I think we released last spring. It's taking advantage of thin wall geometry, so it's a lot faster. But with that said, it's more built for a plane with no thickness. So if you want to have an object that has some thickness to it, just make sure you go into whatever render you're in. There should be a little checkbox where you can uncheck that thin wall, and then just dial your scale value in, and that'll get you to something that looks a little more realistic. But those by default are more built for fabric plane simulations. But you can easily switch it over to traditional random walk.
They're built that way so that you can backlight them. So you can backlight your felt, because we capture all of that translucency in there. Every fiber is kind of captured in those felts. So like if you find yourself, like for instance for the owls, thin wall didn't really make a lot of sense because it has thickness, right? So I just flipped it over to I turned thin wall off, adjusted the radius a little bit in the random walk, and it just looked great. So it's not hard to do. It's just we kind of like to give you both options. So the default option is going to be a little faster. It's going to be set up more for, like Jake said, like a plane or like a cloth with no thickness. And if you want to do like a stuffed animal like I did, then just flip off the thin wall, adjust the radius, and you're good to go.
That's great to know. We got some more questions here. We got let's see here. Any tips for making the felt materials more fuzzy? Got a question here. Is there I know they work with displacement. Any other tricks on getting that nice fuzzy felt look?
Yeah,
Hair.
the displacement. Yeah, I was going to say hair. The displacement in the normal, I did a little extra editing when creating those materials to try and bring out as much of that fine hair detail as possible. But there's only so much you could do in a displacement in normal. So yeah, you can use a scatter node like with Redshift Scatter. You can use a cloner with some hair or a hair object and just add those tiny little hairs. I'd put them around a millimeter and a half, give them some curl, and just match the color of your base felt. Did you tried that, Chad, right? With the owl, but you decided.
I did. I ended up not needing it based on the shots that I had. And also like I had so many that were also simulated. So I didn't want to have to deal with cloning a bunch of hairs on everything. But yeah, that's obviously, like Jake, just to reiterate, yeah, you know, like the material can only be pushed so far because it is just geometry that's being pushed out via displacement. So if you really want fibers, you're going to have to do like a hair system or like Jake said. So yeah.
We got a few questions here I want to run through. I can answer real quick, and then I got another one for you guys. We got a question here. It says, sorry, I got to lean in to my little screen here. It says, I get a Plus membership. The assets are downloadable to my drive. Are they downloadable to my drive or through a iCloud library? So these assets are downloadable right to your hard drive using the Greyscalegorilla Hub. So you install the Greyscalegorilla Hub into Cinema 4D. You load up that plugin, and then the plugin does the rest. You could click on any of these assets we're talking about, whether they're textures, materials, HDRIs, plugins. It's all in the hub. And you can download it, and all of the assets live on your hard drive. So if you don't have internet for a few days, or you just want the speed of working on your own drive, you get that. The hub does check back to make sure you have a license to use them, but I think it checks every week or so, something like that, every few days. So you don't absolutely need to have that open. So whether it's for speed or you're not always connected to the internet, we got you covered. And if you have unique licensing issues, like you don't have access to the internet, you're on a firewall, anything like that, make sure you hit up our Teams department. We have licenses just for you guys that work in those more closed down situations to let you download it and then be able to close off and still have a license without having access to the internet. So hopefully that answer your question. Thank you for your question. I have another quick question here from Undead Creations 52 is asking if there's any current discounts for the annual membership. There are no discounts for annual right now. However, getting an annual membership, you're saving over 4 months of, if you're paying month by month off of your entire year. So just by upgrading from monthly to annual, or by paying annual membership, you're only paying for 8 months out of the year instead of 12. And we think that's an amazing discount already. So we don't have any current promotions or anything going like that. In fact, I would recommend, if you are monthly, to take a look at annual. If you've been paying the last couple months and want to save a bunch, go check out our annual membership, and you still get it all. And you just pay once a year and save a bunch of money. So let me get back to this question for you guys. It says, I'm going to read the question first before I click on it. Scott Marlowe asks, so is the rule of thumb of your model correct? So the rule of thumb is of your model to do, I just lost my screen here.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I saw it earlier. Was he saying if your model's 100%?
Yeah, let me kick you guys off on the question, and then I'll figure out whatever happened to my screen there. Yeah, he's asking about the styrofoam textures, and just can you go in a little bit more detail on how you use real world scale if you're using those materials? How do you think about real world scale?
All right, so in terms of the tile size for those styrofoams, I believe they are around 25 by 25 centimeters square. So if you imagine the tile, I mean, it is a tileable texture. They're 25 by 25 centimeters. So depending on how big your object is, you might have to tile it by 1 or 2 times. So the bigger the object, you're going to have to increase your tile. But in terms of the subsurface scale, that is set in real world values. So that's not going to be affected by your scene scale, or not scene scale, but your object scale. So depending on how big that object is, the styrofoam is going to react realistically. The textures might need to be tiled depending on how big or small it is. And again, the styrofoam is, I believe, for the entire collection, around 25 by 25 centimeters for the tile size. But
that's awesome.
Chime in the chat if you have any more info.
Yeah, we hope to start offering more of that information in terms of the size of these textures in the future on our catalog. And if you haven't checked out our catalog, which is kind of like a work in progress right now, but it does have all of our stuff over there, that information is going to start to get into that site as well. Because everything that we're doing in the tactile world, we have a very specific tile size that it's been created at. And I think that's useful information for people. So we should probably, we'll have that available to you in the future at some point.
Yeah, I wanted to show my screen real quick just to show you guys, if you're interested in seeing, we get this question a lot, what's all included in Greyscalegorilla Plus? And we're finally building our catalog of materials, HDRIs, models, everything in one place that you can go see what's included. And it's really easy to get to. If you go to greyscalegorilla.com and click on this button right here, search all assets, you're going to go to this page. Oh, and you get to see our Google stats too, because I'm logged in.
It's live, folks. It's live.
Screen cap. All right. So from here, you can see what's new. And this is all the new stuff we're talking about. So if you want to see with a little bit more detail some of these materials and get a little zoom in, you could do that. And this is where Chad's talking about, we're going to have some more details in here, like recommended scene scale or things like that, as we build it into this collection. So number one, go check all this stuff out. It'll even show you the displacement, things like this, where the displacement's built in. You can actually see these details. And this is even great, even if you're a Plus member and you just want to browse what is in your library without having to drag and drop it and see in full detail. This is a great place to do it. And it's all broken down by category. You can see everything. You can filter, you could search for things. We've tagged a lot of this stuff. So come in here and start to see. And remember, everything here is fully compatible with Arnold, Octane, and Redshift in Cinema 4D. And it all comes with one Plus membership. All Plus memberships come with all this stuff. So don't forget to come in, check it out. And even just like Chad said, some of these other collections that I use all the time, but we haven't talked about it in a while, like, where is it? The product one.
It's under collections.
Oh.
So let's go top under materials.
Go to materials and go do tech products. So this is what they were talking about. These little subtle plastics and aluminums and Apple product kind of things here are all set, ready to go. And these knurls are really cool too. These nice little metal details. So go check that out.
Jump into clay rough for a second. I also wanted to show people the like pick one of the really heavily manipulated ones.
Let's go with
whichever one you want.
That one?
Sure. And then just like click over all the way to the final image. So each one also has a map breakdown. So you can see base color, normal, roughness, and height. And so if you are curious, like where's the detail coming from in these materials, you can get in there and like look at it. I always am just like so impressed by looking at the normal maps of all of our tactile materials because they're just freaking amazing. So if you're like me and you just like, oh, let me check to see if this material is actually this really high fidelity, because you know sometimes you're at a different site that has materials and they look good in the thumbnail, but then you look at it and the normal map looks not like what you expected. So you can check out that little map breakdown of all of our materials to really see that we indeed we have, in my opinion, the best materials in the business. But that's, of course, I'm biased, but
I like it. I like it. Hold on, let me update the website. Best.
Get the stats back.
All right, I'll stop sharing here. Thank you for that. I did want to share that. Again, that's where you can find it. If you have any questions about what's new, you just want to see a big place, we built that exactly for you guys, for our customers and potential customers. If you're looking, you want to make sure we have the material for your next project, go do a search and go check out all the stuff. It's over 4,500 assets and materials, and that doesn't include all the plugins and everything included in Plus. So go check all that out. All right, let me go through some of these questions here. Great tips on adding hair. They're thanking you for that. Let's see here. Here's a good question. Speaking of breaking hard drives, can I have 2 Greyscalegorilla asset folders if one drive doesn't have enough space? As far as I know, you can't split it up, but we would recommend getting a second drive, internal drive if possible, depending on your build, to use as your asset drive. And that gives you a bunch of extra speed enhancements, more than just enough space to hold all this stuff. It actually does speed things up to have a separate drive. Any other recommendations from you guys?
I wonder if you can use two, and you just would have to
using
select
the
that.
Cinema 4D, like different folders.
Yeah, you'd have to
section?
just select that as a readable folder under the Files tab and Preferences, right, Chad? Or is that a limitation?
I
The
mean,
library might not read it that way.
Oh,
I wouldn't recommend I'm not saying, I guess Kent would have to chime in on whether or not that's actually technically possible, but I kind of wouldn't recommend it because it just kind of opens yourself up to potential sync issues or like issues of assets not being found or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I recommend just getting a fast internal drive that's like, big. Basically, I've seen
think
what
I
we
run.
I've seen what we're planning this year, and it's probably worth it. It's probably worth it.
Yeah, I know our machines here at the office, as well as my own personal machine, I have an SSD that's dedicated to Cinema 4D assets only, whether that's our stuff or other assets. I just keep it all on there. I don't store projects on there. And that's what I set my GSG asset folder to. So everything just goes to that drive. It's not clouding up my local drive or anything, and I don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's all of our machines that we get, including all the ones from Puget, have a second SSD just for this reason. And again, it's not mandatory, but if you are running out of room, it's highly recommended. Here's a question from Wellborn. Is there a way I can use the assets without the hub? As of right now, there is no way to use the assets without the Greyscalegorilla hub. In fact, the hub downloads and organizes and installs the library and does all the stuff we're talking about. So, for example, you can't go to that site I just showed you and download separate materials or anything like that, the maps or anything. It is very built for Cinema 4D and to be used very seamlessly right from within Cinema 4D. However, we are hearing a lot of you that use other applications other than Cinema 4D. I know many of you are dabbling with Houdini, Unreal, Blender, Bryce, all the classics. And it's having a comeback, Chad. Bryce is having a comeback.
If you say so.
And we are looking into ways to not just allow you to make that process easier to use in other programs, but even how the licensing would work and all that other stuff. So we are heavily looking into that right now, and we love hearing from you. Other 3D apps that you use in your workflow. That stuff helps us decide where to go first and what to do. So we do hear you on that one for sure. All right. He says below, he's using Modo and it's not supported. Modo is not on our list right now, but that's a great name to see out there in the world. Oh, let us know in the comments how Modo is day to day. That's super interesting to hear. All right. Let's see here. Josh says, when Comcast dings me for going over my quota, will Greyscalegorilla be offering any type of reimbursement program?
Just bill it to your client.
Tell those jerks that unlimited is not unlimited. Those jerks. Go to work to download all the stuff, and then sneak it home on a hard drive. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm leaning in here. Ray says, love Greyscalegorilla. Can you uninstall a group of HDRIs or textures once you don't need them? I think, Jake, I don't know if you know this. Do we have a Q&A up on the site about how to uninstall stuff from the hub?
Believe we do. I know Ortrune's in chat. I don't know if he has mod to post that link or if Deirdre has that link, but I'm pretty sure it's covered somewhere in our FAQ. I'd have to search for it though.
Yeah. See, Deirdre, if you're there, see if you could find that FAQ post. I think it's like how to uninstall assets from the hub or from the library. I forget, but we do have a way to do that. That it'll uninstall you can uninstall it from the library so it doesn't read the thumbnails. And then you could also, to save space, if you need some hard drive space, delete anything you don't use. Now, I think it's on a collection by collection basis. You can't do that with individual assets within a collection, the way that our library works, the way that everything is synced up. But if you absolutely are so tired of my road trip HDRIs and you're like, I never want to see them again, I'm sad personally, love those things, but I get it. You can go delete it from your hard drive, and we'll make sure we get a link out to you. If we don't put a link here, hit up support and they will hook you up. That goes with anything, by the way. Our support is amazing. If you guys have any questions, any issues, anything happens, please go hit up our support about your account. We will make sure we answer any questions and you are all set. Chad's also reminding me that we have an excellent Discord that if you're not a member of our Discord, a couple things. People are answering and helping each other in so many ways in there. They're giving each other feedback on renters. I've seen people fix technical issues and questions. I've seen people just discussing some of the news and some of the big things happening in our industry. And here, if you need another excuse to go join the Discord, we're going to have another behind the scenes of the behind the scenes extra Discord live show immediately after this. We're going to hop into the Discord and do, the super end of the show in the Discord. So maybe we get a link up to the Discord in comments. And that way you guys can join before the show ends and we will see you in there. If you are a Cinema 4D artist and you do this stuff for a living, you will want to make sure you join the Discord. All right, let's scroll down. Let's make sure I'm answering all the questions here. We also will jump into Cinema 4D any minute now. Chad's got some behind the scenes scenes. Is that right?
Sure.
To show you guys exactly what's going on with some of these new materials. All right. Jupiter says, when the subscription ends, will I have access to the assets on Greyscalegorilla Plus? No, Jupiter, the way Plus works is you get all of this stuff day one. You don't have to, you can use this stuff right away if you're a monthly or annual member. However, if you want to continue to use these assets, you will have to stay a member. So that is a part of the license. And again, that's why we're trying to make this annual membership a lot more affordable as well. If you are using this stuff month by month, it is a lot cheaper to join annually. And if you have any other questions about that, Jupiter, hit up support as well. But that's how Plus works today. Deirdre, thank you for the linking up teams. That's how far behind I am on questions. Let me try to do a lightning round, and then we're going to hop into Cinema 4D, and Chad's going to show you some scene files. All right, we got a link to join Plus. Thank you, Deirdre. All right, let's see here. Let me just get a few more questions, and then we're good. Is Octane still a good render to use? Absolutely. I've been using it all day today, in fact. I don't know if we'll have time to jump on my machine. Maybe we will right at the end. I'll show you some Octane stuff. It is still very beautiful and very fast. And that I just updated to the latest version, which I think is 2022 version 10. Thanks again to Origin for helping me out today. It was lightning quick and really, really fast and really beautiful. And once you have ACES turned on, which I don't think is on by default, it's a little easier than it was before when Chad recorded that tutorial. But if you haven't used ACES with Octane recently, highly recommend it. It's super beautiful. Amazing renderer, of course. I will say quickly too, we've been putting out a lot of Redshift stuff. It's been kind of Redshift month here at Greyscalegorilla. We have some amazing training that we put out for free. And we kind of celebrated that training and a lot of stuff we're doing in Redshift. But look for a lot of Octane tutorials coming very soon. We are still very heavily involved with all three of these renders. And we love hearing from you guys what you want to see. Look for some Octane stuff soon. All right, Eric, good to see you, Eric. Revo's here. Thank you again for helping me out today. All right. Let's see here. Brilliant. Thanks for all the thanks. I'm going to skip by them for now just to get to some questions. All right. Yeah. So Dave says, I'd like to make that info a priority, the scale info. I think that's a really cool idea for the collection. I know that's on our radar as well to get you scale. What I would say right now is if you see one way to think about scale, a kind of a cheat is to go watch that video I was playing earlier, all about some of the new products, and see the rough scale that the products that we use are. So if you imagine that felt owl, I know all of you out there, go ahead out in the world. If you remember the owl from that render, I know I can't see you all, but I trust that you're doing this with me. Make a shape with your hands on how big that owl is in real life. And then you guys don't do it quite yet, but in a moment, all three of us are gonna, in our head, think about how big that owl is in real life, and we're all gonna make a shape, and then we're gonna talk about that. You ready? Everyone else has their shape. Everyone remember the owl. Everyone remember kind of roughly what size they think it is. All right, everyone got their hands up. All right, Chad and Jake and Nick, all three of us, we're gonna put our hands up and think of how big would that owl be if we bought it right now on a store shelf. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I think all three of us are within 3-4 inches of each other.
About
Well,
That's
I kind of cheating because I know that.
say, you know, Chad. You did it.
Chad knows what he had in his head, right? So I'm assuming nobody had their hands all the way out, 5-6 feet. And I'm imagining maybe a few people, but not too many, were any smaller than 3, 4, 5 inches. Let me know in the comments if you were drastically different. But what I want you to think about is how is felt used in the real life, how is felt used in the product that you're trying to recreate. Hold your hands up that big and get the tape measure out. And as long as you're within a few inches, then the materials will work at scale. Where it will break is if you're a magnitude off. If it's supposed to be 1 foot and your thing is 10 foot, it won't look right. If it's supposed to be 1 foot and your thing is 1 inch, it won't look right. So but if you're within a few inches, 8 inches, 12, if you're in the right scale, then those things will work. So that's one way to think about all this stuff. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. And any tips on, I got to close this real quick. Any tips on getting the thumbnails to be more consistent showing up in the scene material library? Might help to know what render you're using, but what have you guys come across with materials not showing up? I know that's an issue with certain settings in Redshift and Octane and stuff like that, but what do you guys do?
I think what Scott might be referring to is in our library, we have different thumbnails that have spanned over the years in our library. Scott, let us know, is that what you meant when you were talking about that? Because I do have an explanation for that, because we are aware of it. So, when we started our journey in assets a couple of years back now, we were kind of like, I'm not going to lie, we were making it up as we went along. And so some of our materials were using the default sort of like shader ball that the renderer uses. And then some of them we started experimenting with like a little bit more higher detailed shader balls with like little details in their flat face and stuff like that. But you might have noticed since, Jake, has it been like a year since we started the new?
I think the new shader balls, we've been working on them for over a year, but I believe they were first pushed out with the first tactile release. I think, yeah. So
now we've kind of landed on the shader ball that you see in your library today on the newer stuff. The reason that we can't change all the old stuff, because that actually lives on your hard drive. All of those files live on your hard drive, so we can't just necessarily update all of those material previews, which is a little bit unfortunate, and maybe someday we'll have a solution for that. But so that's why it's a little bit of a patch quilt in our library, where you see some that look like the fancy new shader balls and some of them kind of look like the old ones. But yeah.
A few more questions here, and then we're going to throw it into Chad's computer for a little sneak peek on some of the materials used in a scene file. And we wanted to show you the new node materials as well, which we didn't even talk about yet. So a couple quick questions we'll throw to you. First of all, Susie's in here. Hi, Susie. She says, absolutely. Contact me at teams@Greyscalegorilla. And this is just another reminder. If you work in a team and there's more than one of you, there's a lot of us out there that are teams of one. We all work on our own in Cinema 4D. Anyone out there that works in teams of 3 or more, and you all want to share the same license and all want to make sure that everyone on your team has instant access to all this stuff we're talking about. If anyone on your team uses any of these HDRIs, any of our plugins, any of our materials, and you want to easily share scene files between each other and make sure that everyone is up to date with the latest stuff, we have team licensing for you guys. And this is the best way to contact Susie, who's amazing to work with. She'll answer all of your questions. Hit up teams@Greyscalegorilla.com, or you can go to our teams page on our website, which I think is Greyscalegorilla.com/teams. Fill out a quick form. Just let us know your name and email, and Susie or someone on our team will reach out and talk to you about it. So this is true if you're a team of 3 or 10 or 20. If everyone on your team needs Grayscale Gorilla assets, plugins, and you all want to make sure you're always synced up, definitely go contact Susie. Thanks for being here, Susie. Good to see you. All right. A few more questions. We'll hop in. There's so many great questions here. If we miss your question, first of all, show up on the Discord after this. Hopefully we'll get to it there. And second of all, if it's an issue, if you have any Greyscale Gorilla Plus questions or any account questions, licensing questions, be sure to hit up our support. We will make sure you are there. Kai's Power Tools. Absolutely. That's how late I am on the questions.
Good
that was
Lord, you're way back there.
My Bryce joke is just now getting there. Thank you guys. The Kai's Power Tool jokes, that's good. Blender seems to be the future. We're seeing a lot of people playing with Blender as well. We love seeing all the recommendations from you guys. All right, Deirdre's answering questions. Cheers to you. Join our Discord. There's a link from Deirdre. I'll put that up on the screen real quick. All right, so let's do this. Let's do behind the scenes. If we didn't get to your question, hopefully we have a few extra moments after this, but I don't want to go too much later without showing off some of the behind the scenes scene files on Chad's machine, and also showing you the new node materials that now work in Redshift and Arnold. So maybe we start with that. And Jake, we'll say bye for now, and everyone say thank you, Jake, for being here. And if you have any specific other questions for Jake, please hit us up and we'll make sure we fax it to you tomorrow, Jake. Is that
awesome?
Okay. You
Great.
have a fax machine?
I do.
That's right.
I'll give you my address. Yeah, I'll be in the Discord after this as well with you guys. So I'll come hang out.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Jake.
Nice talking to you guys. Bye.
Bye, bud. See you. Love that guy. All right.
He's the best.
He is the best. Thank you, Jake, for joining us. Chad, let's throw it to you. I got your screen here. Do you want to go full screen cinema? And then once I see that, I'll kick it to you. I'll look at the chat and let you know what everyone's saying. But why don't we start with, first of all, just something pretty. Show us whatever's pretty on your scene here. And then I just wanted to make a note to make sure we talk about the node base materials, because I know that's been a long time in the making and a lot of people don't know that it's there. So take it away, Chad.
Right. So if you have updated recently, as of last week, you may have noticed this extra little drop down in your Plus library that says material type, node, or Espresso. So if you are familiar with the new node system that has sort of slowly been being adopted by Redshift and Arnold, then you will be familiar with that. So now we have the ability to create materials directly from the library in either the node-based workflow or the Espresso node-based workflow, which I know can be confusing. So for instance, if we have it selected to Espresso and I have my renderer set to Redshift, I can just drag one of these materials into my scene and I can hit edit shader graph, and it's going to be the old familiar Espresso node setup. So that's still there for you if you like that. Or if you want to switch to the new node system, we can grab that same material again, drag it into my scene, find it, and now you can see it's got the new node system, and because you'll know it's under basic, it's down here now. If I hit that, now we have the pretty little new node system all right there, which I kind of prefer using these. Honestly, I haven't used the Espresso nodes since we started testing this feature, because I just find this workflow to be so much easier on my eyeballs, because trying to connect stuff in Espresso can be like really challenging. All right, so you said you want to see something pretty. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of the fabric gray wool fuzz felt material, or actually it's a fabric material. And I'm going to drag it onto this model that I have here, which is just a test scene that we use to test all of our materials. And the reason I wanted to show you guys this is because I don't think a lot of people know that these materials, like we mentioned earlier in our stream, you can backlight them because they're using that thin wall translucency. So you can see here we have a light that's underneath this fabric kind of shining out. And you can see you get all of that detail right inside there. Let me just grab a camera that's a little bit closer to see. It's going to take a second because I've got the displacement kind of cranked up right now. Let me actually just turn that off for right now. Actually, we'll leave it. It's fine. So we capture all of this translucency in our process, and we give that to you, the user, so that you can make stuff look like cool backlit fabric or felt or whatever. So let's go ahead and turn the lights back on in the scene so we can actually kind of see what it really looks like. Let's jump back out to a wide angle. So that is just kind of there for you. And if we open up that material in the node editor, let me make this a little bit bigger. You can see it's all set up for you right there. And if you want to flip it over from thin wall to regular subsurface, you can just do that right here under geometry and redshift. And that will change it back to a random walk subsurface. Something like if you have like a thickness or maybe like that owl actually would be a good one to show. But yeah, I just wanted to show that because it's kind of a cool demo to like turn off all the lights and just see that detail in there. And let's grab maybe a different one to see what kind of some of these other ones might look like. Let's try one of this, like fabric teal weave. I have no idea if this one is going to be too thick because some of these materials were so thick that you didn't even really see that much translucency happening. Ooh, but this one's nice because you can see like the little pinholes. You can kind of see all of that really good information. Let's just actually jump out here and grab this. We'll get in there close so we can really see it. And again, I should probably freeze my tessellation so it goes a little faster. Yeah, so I mean the detail is pretty insane. So even if we turn off I also have like a little bit of a fill light in here, but if I turn that off completely, so now we're just seeing the light poking through. If I kind of come down here, you can kind of like see that there's a light inside of there. But all of that really does help a ton to make something look, from something looking sort of like fake and like almost like plasticky. That subsurface on cloth and felt really is what sells it as being realistic. Let's go ahead and turn our lights back on, and let's try a different material. Let's jump over. Actually, what scene do you want to see? I've got like every scene here. I don't know which one you're interested. You want to go right to the owls, or what are you thinking, Nick?
I mean, I love that little owl guy. Yeah, I would love to see some of that. Let us know in the comments what you guys want to see. If you were here earlier with the promo video, I had full screen. Anything from there, looks like Chad's got a bunch of seed files open. We'd love to show you a little behind the scenes. But let's go owls.
Yeah, so like the owl, again, like this is not optimized for a demo because this is all like actual production files, so that the owl has quite a bit of subdivisions on for the displacement for the felt. So it's going to take a hot second for it to calculate. And I should probably also turn off optics because that'll slow things down. Let's see here.
How many centimeters tall is the owl?
I mean, we could look. All right, so let's let this fire up for a second, And I could probably hide some of these as well. So before, I showed you that fabric that was using the thin wall translucency. And in this particular model, because it's a solid object, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that. So instead, I flipped it over to random walk to get that sort of like look. And I'm going to show you what this looks like with and without it, because it's a pretty stark difference. So I'm going to grab the beige, light beige 01 material. And I think this was using, this is using the espresso nodes. So if we jump into this material, and let's jump out of the takes to make sure that my take, I can actually manipulate some stuff over here. And let's let that catch up to what I was doing. But what we're going to do is we're going to open up this standard material, and we're going to flip the thin wall back on. So if I flip thin wall back on, I'm just going to region over his face just so we don't have to wait so long. I'll also go ahead and freeze the tessellation. So let's let that cook for a second. So what that's going to do is it's going to immediately look a little bit worse, because obviously this isn't a thin, it's not a thin object. It's actually has depth. It's got volume to it, right? So if I turn off and I just use it default using thin walled, because it's not a plane and there's no light behind it, it ends up looking, it still looks like felt, but it kind of looks like a dingier, almost like, I don't know, like a thicker kind of like not really translucent kind of a vibe. So all I did was just come into there and turn off thin walled, which basically forces the subsurface to go back into a random walk mode. And then I'm just adjusting the scale here. Basically, how far do I want the light to be able to penetrate into that felt? But it's a pretty huge difference in terms of the quality of the look, in my opinion. So if you're using it on something thick, I recommend doing this. And if you're using it something like on a piece of cloth, then I recommend the default thin walled. But
we got a question about what that setting is in Octane. Do you know where to find that?
I believe if you're using the standard surface in Octane, it I don't know offhand. Somebody Jake in the chat will probably know. If you show up to the Discord later, I'm sure we'll have somebody in there that knows, but I don't know the exact setting. But in Arnold and Redshift, it's basically the same as what I just showed you.
Yeah, hop into the Discord. I have a feeling Jake or somebody in there might know. Even if not, it's a perfect Discord question, because we have channels specifically for different renderers in there. So if you have any questions about how to use our stuff in specific renders, or just other renders in general, it's been a great place to see people help each other and just kind of build a community of other artists that use the same render you do, and you can help each other out. Oh, look at how absolutely horrifically sad this little buddy is.
Oops. I know.
And now that he's out of focus, he's like even more spooky.
I know. He's like, now it's like, it kind of does look kind of spooky, but I'm going to go ahead and focus in on this. Yeah, the detail on these felts, man, there's just so good. And especially if you start throwing like a little hair on there to get that extra bit of detail, it's pretty insane. But yeah, let's just zoom out and get the whole deal. But yeah, and this is just lit with a single HDRI. So yeah, that's one of my, I'm not sure what HDRI, I'm afraid to see what HDRI I'm using in case it's one that Nick doesn't approve of, and then he'll be mad at me forever. So I'm going to like make sure I don't click on my HDRI right now. But yeah, anyway,
that's Chad's secret. That he's got the custom. Chad waits a year in the future, and then he finally releases it to you guys. That's part of his charm.
I like to use it, by myself for a while, make sure it's good, and then
that's right. It's used. It's really a used market.
Yeah, I warm it up for people. That's really all I do.
They want to really see the size. They're really interested in the actual.
Right,
put a human. Why don't you just put a human model next to him, and we can talk about that.
Right.
Talk about that as a technique.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. So perfect. So it's smaller than a Care Bear.
Let me hide the environment.
Bigger than a He-Man action figure, smaller than a Care Bear. Maybe 12. No, 8,
No,
not 10-inch.
it's about, it's stuffed animal size.
Stuffed animal size.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
So
it's
that-
like, let me look. I might actually
do the measurement.
like, I don't feel like doing that. I'm too lazy.
It's late. It's late.
Yeah.
The as a technique though, you just have to be in the ballpark. It matters more when you're comparing things at a smaller scale and you need, the screw of your headphones to be at the right proportion to the actual headphones. Like when things get really micro and they have to fit all in together, of course, they got to be perfect scale and size. But when you're trying to make sure your camera interacts with the materials, interacts with the size of your object, this kind of general sizing that we're talking about, you can you can be close. You could be close. So you literally draw a circle on a piece of paper on how big you think this thing is, measure it, and put that in centimeters. In fact, little tip, a lot of you might know this, you could type inches into Cinema 4D and it will calculate centimeters for you. So if you say, hey, I want this cube to be 8 inches tall, you could just type 8IN, hit enter. And if you're already working in centimeters, it'll just do the conversion and it will, if you're a dumb American like us and you don't use the metric system, you just type in inches and it'll convert it into centimeters right away. And that's true with a couple other things. You could do math in those places. There's a bunch of fun stuff you could do, but that'll be another time. Wellborn says that looks impressive. I agree. Look how cute this guy is.
I checked while you were talking, and I am using Creative Space 04. I am not in risk of
it's a new one. So, all right, we got a vote for 04. So Chad didn't technically say it was his favorite, but he is using it in this beautiful render. Also, earlier in the chat, I wanted to call it out, but we got talking with Jake. Somebody mentioned that 05 is their jam.
Should we try it? Let's try it.
Yeah, go ahead and click the 05. Sorry for not remembering your name, but thanks for the shout out. 05 better than everything else, they said.
Well, that's a good choice because that is where I'm sitting. Creative Space 05 is actually the Greyscalegorilla office. So that's interesting.
I would say right now it's in the running for my favorite. I was waiting for somebody else to pick it to talk about it, but I don't know if it's just because I've been to that office and I know the lighting and I love the lighting there. Like it's super dark. It's really contrasty. The original, right? The original Creative Spaces had a little bit more balance to it. It was definitely very heavy on the window side of things, but there was a lot of other balance and little lights. The one based on your office where you're sitting right now is 5. That one is so contrasty. It's and I love it. Like when you really want that dark shadow, just like you're showing right now, 05 is a good start. I love it. And there's those cute posters you have on the wall that I use as the background, those like orange and yellow posters.
Mm-hmm.
I always love seeing those like blurred out in the background. Fun one to use because I know that space so well.
Yep.
But,
whoa, weird. Didn't realize that like if you I just found this hotkey. I didn't realize it was a thing. If you hit V while you have the your render view up, it flips it vertically.
Wait, what's the key?
V. I didn't even mean to do that. I wonder if H
doesn't
means
work
horizontal.
for me.
Oh yeah, H does horizontal. Okay.
Hey, where did you click for that?
I'm just in the render view, the IPR.
Oh, I have Octane open. That's why.
Yeah. Anyway,
Vita says there's something about that owl in the materials. Almost no angle of lighting that doesn't work. I agree. This guy is super cute. I tried to do a quick search on where you found him, see if I could find that owl on Turbo Squid. I have not found it. So if you remember, or if you see a receipt, put it in the Discord. Let everyone know they want to play around. Maybe there's some other fun animals. All right, I see Styrofoam. Let's maybe close with this one since we're getting late. We should hop into the Discord here soon as well. I love this scene, by the way. first of all, question on my mind. Did you make that with the volume builder? Like, how did you build this piece of styrofoam?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I did. It's literally just a bunch of cubes that I subtracted from a volume measure. And then what I did was I brought in the tactile logo, and I added that to my whole volume measure build thing. And then I just used, on volume measure, you can kind of smooth stuff out a little bit to get that like smooth vibe. And that's really what I did. Let's just zoom in here so we can really see it. But yeah, and it turned out like I didn't really do that much. I mean, I think I maybe actually designed the package in Figma just to like get a rough idea of what I wanted to do, because I wanted it to,
out.
yeah, just to sketch it out, because I wanted it to be a plus, and I wanted it to be like, something kind of like you might see from like buying like some electronics or something. But yeah, dude, these styrofoams are so good. They're so good. But yeah,
we like need that package now. All right, I said this is the last one, but Yura asks in the comments, can we take a quick look at the rope scene? And as you open it, I will tease. This is what they call in the broadcast teasing. We have a ropes tutorial coming soon on obviously how to set up a scene like this, how to light it up, and how to use our materials in it. I should have asked Chad if you had that one available.
I do.
But
I
yours
do.
asking about it. So look for a tutorial soon. If you haven't played with the ropes and the new dynamics and simulations in Cinema 4D, they are super fun. You've already seen some examples of the cloth engine with the felt that Chad showed. This I know is used using the rope simulation. And again, as he opens the scene file here, I'll just say, look for a tutorial soon on how to set this up. And then Box says he could hear the styrofoam. I like that. That's our tweet tomorrow, Chad.
Yeah.
So good. You
could hear it squeak.
You just hear it squeak. All right. So go ahead. I see you have the seed file open.
Yeah, I mean, like listen, this is all cashed out, because this sim was like, I think I simulated this thing at least 100 different times before I found one that I liked. And then of course I promptly cashed it out to an Alembic. So I'm like, the tutorial will get into the how like that Nick's gonna make, as far as like how to set this all up. But yeah, I just figured I would open it up. I'm not really, actually, let me see. I might be able to like, I think I turned off all of the animation on this. So let me see. Yeah, okay. If I do use animation, then I can start to go through this cache. Gets kind of crazy after a while. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Basically, you're just simulating or doing a rope sim on the curves, and then there's like an inside sweeping across those curves. And then once I got that done, I cashed it all out to an Alembic so that I could quickly kind of like figure out what I wanted it to look like. And yeah, I think I threw almost not all of them. I think I threw like how many do I have here? Probably 25 different paracords on here. And obviously I'm like subdividing them quite a bit for some of these close-ups, which is why it's taking so long right now. But I think if I just let it go here for a second. Let's go ahead and find a cool spot. But yeah, there is a lot of detail in these paracords. And the colors are a lot of fun to play with, as I'm sure you've been doing the tutorial, so you've probably been having fun.
Dude, it's been great. Yeah, stay tuned for the tutorial. We're also getting a suggestion for the frosty can scene, and Alex, that is high on our list as well. To put out some sort of tutorial or video or setup on how that is. I've been playing with it. Chad's been helping me out, kind of dial that look into. So expect a tutorial relatively soon on that one as well. Those are at the top of our tutorial list are ropes and a frosty can scene. And then a really in-depth detailed tutorial on how to measure stuffed owls. That'll be behind the scenes only, just for you guys. All right. Well, maybe it's time we start to wrap this thing up. Chad, any other scene files you want to show off before we
come to the Discord? I'll show some more.
Ooh, that's the teaser we've been looking for. Yura's asking what you use to drive the ropes. I think I know the answer to this one, and it is Signal. So, Chad, you want to talk a little quickly about some of the animation techniques in this scene? I know I'll be showing you in the tutorial, but
I don't want to give away
there?
too much of the stuff that we're doing in the tutorial, but yeah, so it's a combination of signal and fields and field forces, and yeah, just a kind of a combination of all those things, really. But Nick is going to do a bit of a deeper dive on some of the techniques that I did for this. That'll be out soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And yeah, stay tuned. If you're watching here on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out and it'll notify you. In fact, you could hit the notifications if you want, and that'll actually let you know when we have new tutorials. We have so much more stuff planned here at Greyscalegorilla, and it helps us get the word out when new stuff is announced. Where is the Discord? So Deirdre just put a link to the Discord. Chad, I'm going to pull away from your screen here just to close up and put our faces back on the screen. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you want to see more, join us in the Discord. We haven't done this before. We're going to transfer this live show to the Discord. So if you're not a member and you use Cinema 4D and you do this stuff for a living, please come join us in the Discord. We are helping other artists just like you, freelancers, people working in teams, working in studios of 20, working in studios of 1. We're helping you guys make better renders, do it fast, and build a community around doing your best work. So please come join the Discord. There's a link. Thank you, Deirdre, for the links today. I appreciate you and for setting up this live stream. Super appreciate that. Getting all this stuff going today. We are here. Jake, if you're listening and in earshot and you want to get a live stream set up so that people have something to join once they hit the Discord, that might be helpful. And that way we can hop in there and continue this thing on the Discord. If you are watching this later as a pre-recorded thing, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you have any questions, we didn't get to it, put it in the YouTube comments. We watch and read all of those, even when you make fun of my hair. I read them all. Please make sure you put a comment in there, and we try to answer each and every question, comment in YouTube and in anywhere around the internet there. Deirdre's there. Thank you so much. Alex, Hector, Bally, thank you guys so much. I didn't even get to my scene files. Let me know in the YouTube comments or here live if you want me to show off some Octane scene file stuff. I know many of you are Octane users. We are not ignoring you. We have a ton of awesome Octane stuff planned for the next couple months. So stay tuned on YouTube for that. And even somebody mentioned this in the comments. We even have a few tutorials that we're doing just for Octane that we have previously done for Redshift. So if you've seen a recent tutorial and you're like, oh, I wish I knew how to do that in Octane, one, go tell us that on the YouTube tutorial that you want us to redo in Octane. And two, stay tuned for it because we think that's a great idea as well. And we'll be doing that. I already see people in the comments saying Octane love. Yes, we do too. We love Octane too, guys. And Arnold. I know you're out there. I know. All right, folks. Chad, thank you so much for joining today and giving us behind the scenes. I really appreciate it. Out there in the world, chat, thank you so much for joining us today for this epic live show over hour 45, and we're not done. We're hopping into Discord. And thank you so much for those of you who are Greyscalegorilla Plus members. Again, please check it out if you're looking to get everything that you've just seen here today, including thousands more assets designed specifically to help you guys work faster, do your best work, and to help you in your everyday work and get more done so you can charge your clients more money. That's what we do here at Greyscalegorilla. A few little notes here just as we wrap up. We are going to be at NAB So please come say hi if you're going to be at the School of Motion party. One, try to go get a ticket. I think they're completely free, but they do sell out. So make sure you reserve your seat for the School of Motion event at NAB. They help put it on, but there are plenty of other sponsors, including Greyscalegorilla, including a whole list of people that help put that party on. So I want to make sure to that you and us thank them. So please go get a ticket for that party at NAB. Come say hi to us if you see us on the floor. Other news, nodes are there, and yeah, I think we got to everything. Thanks for the reminder there. And I think with that, we will see you in the Discord if you'd like to join us. And if not, then we will see you in another video or live show really soon. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, Chad.
Bye, everybody. Bye.